Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable Miss Anugrah Imani SPD MPD as Director of English Public Speaking, the respectable all my friends from Class 8. First of all, let's pray and thanks to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala who have given us mercies and blessings so we can make this video. Secondly, may peace and salutation always be given to our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Well, everyone, we are from the last group on the subject, or we are from the 13th group of English public speaking. Would like to explain about process. So, well, the process that will be explained in this video. Point one is about recipe. The second one is about instruction, and the third one is about emergency procedure. Well, everyone, for reducing the time, let's hear the explanation from the first speaker, that is Annisa Nur Fitriyani. Time is yours.
Thank you to moderator who has given me the opportunity to explain the first material. Okay, let's go to the first material, which is recipe. What is the meaning of recipe? The definition of recipe is a set of instruction for making or preparing something, especially a food dish. For example, a recipe for a cake, or how to make a noodle, or how to make a meatball. Next. Does the recipe have a purpose and benefit? The answer is yes. Many of the many purposes of the recipe, but here I will explain only the gist of it. Among others are make it easy or be guide for us in identifying needs. And the another purpose of recipe is provide an opportunity for us to estimate the budget that will be issued, and for cooking products for commercial will help in calculating their economic feasibility. And the next one of the purpose is instruction, and or special notes or tips offered in the recipe allow us to produce food products with optimal result and quality. Previous recipes often include far less information, serving more as a reminder of ingredients and proportions for someone who already know how to prepare a dish. Next, eh, I'm sorry. Recipe have a components too. Modern culinary recipe usually consists of several components. The first one is a recipe name that are origin or history of the dish, and result the number of serving provided by the dish, and list all ingredients in the order in which they are used, explain step-by-step instruction. And the next one is the time. How long does it take to prepare a dish, plus the cooking time for that dish. And list ingredients by quantity, the necessary utilities are used for the dish, and cooking procedure and serving procedure. Review the dish if you would recommend this dish to your friend. And photo of the dish. This photo is optional. And then the last one is nutritional follow. This is help with food section. Include the number of calories or grams per servings. Next. After we know what is the recipe, the purpose, and components of recipe, next we will discuss how to make a good recipe. The first step you is must know your audience. Is the recipe for a children's cooking class or for a group of chefs? Is it 5 minutes recipe or a masterpiece? Understand your audience before you sit down to write the recipe. And the second one is use descriptive recipe titles. Just a little for a recipe can invite you in or out. What would you rather make, for example, mushroom bomb lentil pasta or with mushroom? Use descriptive words without creating an accessibly long little it's not necessary to list every ingredient in the title. And the next one is add a recipe description and list the preparation and cooking time, provide the number of serving and serving size, and list ingredients in chrono chronological order, spell out measurement and amounts. And the next one is separate ingredients for major steps in a recipe. And the next one is list the antostin needed if unique, and list step in order, keeping instruction short and to the point. And the next one is indicate size of bowls and cookware and give specific about doneness. And the next one is test your recipe, include storage suggestion, offer extras, include nutritional information, and the last one is add a quality photo. In the social media era, people will do it with their eyes. It's essential to provide a good quality photo, which can be accomplished with your smartphone with practice. Next. So this is an example for a recipe. This is a chocolate chip muffins. The writers use the recipe titles, the time, ingredients, direction, that instruction, how to make muffin step by step, and the writers is don't forget add the photo for grab the audience attention. So that's some explanation about the recipe. Thank you for your attention. I'll leave it back to moderator.
Well, thank you so much for the explanation to Annisa Nur Fitriyani. And let's move to the next material. It's about instruction that will be referred by Dewi Nurul, Syipa, and time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Dewi Nurhanasah, for the time. Now here I'm going to talk about instruction. So, what is the meaning of instruction? According to Merriam-Webster, an online dictionary, instruction is an outline or manual of technical procedure, and it can also be interpreted as an act, practice, or teaching profession. As we know that this expression of instruction is always present in our lives, whether it is an instruction to do something or a prohibition not to do something. While according to the Cambridge Dictionary, the meaning of instruction is something that someone tells you to do, usually in the form of orders or prohibitions. It can also be interpreted as advice and information about how to do or use something, often written in a book or on the side of a container. For example, like in a cookbook. The cooking instruction says that you need to bake it for half an hour. In the Cambridge Dictionary, instruction also has the meaning as the act of teaching someone how to do something. For example, like in the course How to Drive a Car. The course gives you a basic instruction in a car maintenance and repairs. Well, instruction is vital for education as it is the transfer of learning from one person to another. Anytime you are given direction or taught how to do something, you are receiving instruction. The instruction is attached to everyone. Maybe almost everyone in this world has given orders to parents, relatives, or friends. Instruction text or giving instruction is text which contains elements of commanding or giving orders in English, which is addressed to the person we are talking to. Instruction text also can be said as an imperative sentence, which means ordering, asking, and giving instruction to the other person to do something. Well, let's talk about the purpose of instruction. The purpose of instruction is to tell someone to do something. The information is presented in a logical sequence of events which is broken up into small sequence steps. Another purpose of instruction is also to help people learn about how to do or how to use something. The goal of instructional designer is to make learning easier, quicker, and more enjoyable. As I said before, that the instruction is same or similar with imperative sentence. So now here imperative sentences has several characters, including refers to request, do not use subject, the command already leads to the subject, use the first form of the verb, usually ends with an exclamation point, and also has a power of emotion. Those are some characters from imperative sentence. So next is the types of imperative sentence. There are three types of instructions, namely commands, requests, and directions. So let's start to talk about each type of imperative sentence. First is command. Command is a sentence that usually ends with an exclamation mark, which contains a command or prohibition. For example, like in the sentence, open the windows, close your eyes, follow me, and others. And second is request. Request is the sentence that contains a request, usually can be a command, but a little more subtle without the exclamation mark. For example, like in the sentence, could you tell me the truth? Would you give me some book? And others. So yeah, the difference between command and request lies in the exclamation mark. If command using an exclamation mark or exclamation point at the end of the sentence, while the request doesn't use it. Next is direction. Direction is a sentence that contains instructions to do something, such as in procedural text, which contains commands in sequence and also in the text of directions. For example, like in the sentence, turn right and you can find my house then. Okay, giving instruction is actually closely related to the type of procedural text lessons written in imperative sentences. Well, procedural text is a type of English text that shows how a process must be carried out. For example, as in the procedure for making food or recipes that have been conveyed by my friend Annisa previously. In education, instruction is also commonly used, usually used by teachers in giving assignment to students and also during exams. There are several expressions that are commonly used as instructions to students, such as, for example, like in the sentence, please read the instruction carefully, please open the page 4, and etc. And next, I will talk about how to create an instruction. There are two formulas that can be used. First is verbal instruction, and second is nominal instructions. First is verbal instruction. In verbal instruction is using formula verb 1 plus object, and we can add the word please at the end of the sentence. For example, like in this sentence, lock the door, close the window, please, like that. Next is nominal instruction. Nominal instruction using formula be plus adjective or noun or adverb. For example, like in this sentence, be quiet, that baby is sleeping well. Be strong, one step to get final. Like that. Next is I will going to talk about the features of instruction. Instruction has several features. There are such as goals, that is clearly stated often in the heading, materials listed in order of use. Next is method. The steps are chronological and are numbered or listed. And next is recipes. Usually have the information presented in at least two basic groups, such as ingredients and methods. And game instruction usually include instruction on how to play, rules of the game, method of scoring, and the number of players. Next is scientific experiment. Scientific experiments usually include the purpose of the experiment, equipment, procedure, observation, and conclusion. Focuses on the generalized people rather than individuals. The reader is often referred to in a general way. And next is action verbs. In here, we are using imperative verbs such as like cut, fold, twist, hold, and others. Next is simple present tense, such as, for example, like you cut, you fold, you mix, and others. Linking words to do with sign are used to connect the text. And next is detailed information on how, where, and when. And the last one is detailed factual description, such as the description about the shape, size, color, amount, or etc. And the last part, I will gonna talk about how to make a good instruction. So the key to improving our instruction is to know what methods of instructions to use. It is helpful to think of different methods of instruction as different tools for a carpenter. Okay, the last part I will explain or talk about how to make a good instruction. So the key to improving our instruction is to know what methods of instruction to use. It is helpful to think of different methods of instruction as different tools for a carpenter. If you only have a hammer, then everything looks like a nail to you, and you won't be able to make a very good piece of furniture. So what we need is a knowledge base about methods of instruction to supplement the creative art aspect of training. Such a knowledge base would offer optimal methods for a given situation. But the question is, what are the important situations that call for different methods? How can we tell what methods or tools to use and when? Here some of the options are the nature of the learner, the content, the goals, the learning environment, the teacher, and the resources. So the last part I will gonna say about the most important in instruction. In order to design our instruction, we need to know about two things. First is we need to know about methods, what tools are available. And second, we need to know about the situation, when the tools should be used. So maybe that's all from me. That's all the explanation about instruction. So thank you so much. I return to Devi.
Okay, thank you so much to the first speaker and to the second speaker. They have been explaining the material about the recipe and instructions. So let's move to the last material that will be delivering by myself. It's about emergency procedure. So what is the emergency procedure? Emergency procedure is a plan. Uh, sorry, can you next the slide? Okay, thank you. So the emergency procedure is a plan of action to be carried out in a specific sequence or manner. It's response to a specific cause or possible emergencies, situation that falls on immediate risk to health, life, property, or the environment. Or maybe in the simple word, emergency procedure is something or is a text, is a process or procedure that we need to know if there's something happen like accident, injuries, food, fire, and others. So if we have to know this, hopefully it can make us easily to help each other with if there's something happen like this. So same with the instruction and recipe, emergency procedure have the purpose decided to well, same with the instruction or recipe process, emergency procedure have the purpose. Besides it prevent fatalities and injuries, reduce damage to building or stung and equipment. The emergency procedure have the crucial purpose that is to preparedness ensures you have the right skill and right state of mind to manage a disaster. And thousands of first responders are injured at work each year. Hundreds die. But if you know the emergency procedure, maybe you can care for your community because you are have severely injured yourself. As a human, we need to care each other. So if we already know what the emergency procedure, hopefully it can make you help people around you easily. Well, next to the next slide. Yeah. The emergency procedure have four type. There is the first type is procedure carried out during a fire alarm in commercial building. So uh, a fire alarm in commercial building where the occupants are evacuated via the nearest exit as the emergency services are called. Um, Fire wardens or security may search the building to ensure everyone has left, or they may be a roll call at the assembly point. So the procedure would identify who is responsible for these various tasks and their deputies, detailing other arrangements such as assisting those in the building who may have mobility issues with the firefighters and others. So in a large multi-tenanted building, the procedure may be complex and address several possible scenarios. So for the second one is medical emergency. Uh, where first aiders are called to attend an unconscious person, and after checking their airways and general condition, so put them into a recovery position while awaiting the paramedic. So before we waiting the apa sih nakes tuh bahasa Inggrisnya? Before we waiting the before we waiting a helper from the hospital, maybe we can do something that can help the person. So the third and the fourth one is accident site and accident. Why in this material I always keeping mention about accident because the emergency procedure is very interconnected each other uh, with the accident. So there are several potential that may affect to environment or to organizations such as fire, active shooter, boom threat, civil disorder, or tornado, or and others. So now I will give you an example how we can do if there's something like this. So in this time, I will give you an example about active shooter. So when there's an active shooter in your area, maybe the first one that you need to do is if if the place is safe to do, you can exit the building. Sorry, can you next to the last slide? Yeah, okay, thank you. So in this time, maybe I will give you an example about one accident that is about active shooter. So if there's an active shooter in your area or in your place, the first one that you can do is if the place is safe to do, you can exit the building, but it's not lock or barricade yourself inside a room. So if there's nothing that you can do, you just can stay in room. So the second is turn off the light, cover and lock any window, and lay on the floor. Maybe if we turn off the light, everyone or dangerous in outdoor cannot see us in our room if we turn the light. So next is if the shooters leave the area, go to a safer place. If it's possible, have an escape route or make another plan in your mind. Keep your hand open and visible, and follow any instruction given by law and enforcement. So the next is the first thing that you need to do if you are in this condition is call 911 when it's step to do so. So if it doesn't step, yeah, you don't need to call this. So next is if you can't speak, leave the line open. The inspector can listen and try to pinpoint your location. So the next is if approached by law enforcement officer, freeze and raise your arms with open palms facing the officer. So the last one is once you are at the sub location, stay there until police or no university or others official gives that the place is really clear. Maybe I don't need to give just one example, but I would like to give another example when you are in this condition is about fooding. So when you are in your area or in your location, there's some food. Maybe the first one that you need to do is move to the higher ground. Because if you move to the higher ground, maybe it can help you to about food. So the first thing that you need to do if there's food is move to the higher ground. So the second one is during rainstorms, stay away from the trees, which may attack lighting or which may attack yourself. So the third one is avoid fast flowing water, even in your house. So the fourth one is don't walk in the flooded areas. Don't ever walk in the flooded areas because it's too dangerous for yourself and yeah for yourself. So the fifth one is don't use and avoid contact with electrical devices. So the last one is remain cautious of high weather at night as darkness may hide other hazards. Well, everyone, maybe that is about explanation about emergency procedure, about purpose, about the definition, about the example, or about the rules that you need to do if there is something like this. Well, everyone, from the first material about recipe and instruction, and the last by me is about emergency have been delivering by us. So I will try to make a conclusion from this explanation that from the whole process that we have been explanation just now, it's really crucial for our life, such as for recipe. If we want to make good food or delicious food, we need to know the good ingredients. We need to know the good rules. So if we want to make instruction of or if we want to comment someone, we need to how the sentence or how the our word uh, to salah guys salah. Apa sih barusan dia ngomong apa? Okay. And for instruction, maybe if we want to make a good sentence to delivering for someone, we need to know how the perfect form or how to prepare rules format it. So the last thing is emergency. Absolutely, we need to know more about emergency because it's really helpful for us. We never know we never know uh what will happen in our future, or maybe if we are going to out there's something accident and others, but if we already know about them, we can help ourselves especially, and we can help others to solve this problem. Okay, well, everyone, maybe that's from us, and I'm so sorry if there's something mistake, if there's something really big mistake. I'm sorry for about this. And the last is thank you so much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.